Hi everyone. Today's special guest and the number one guest for this month, by the way, is Ravi. And Ravi's going to kick it off with a little bit of entertainment, aren't you, Ravi?
I hope so.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted you on first, because I thought, everybody's going to come to the site to see you. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. We're going to learn lots, hopefully, through your story and through some of the information that you're going to share. But I thought number one guest for the month, Ravi.
Thanks, guys. Hi, my name's Ravi. What do you want to know, Graham?
Well, first of all, I think let's start off at the beginning, and we go back just a couple of years, really, since
Yeah.
I first entered into the property world. So you told us a story there about how you got involved in property and the transition that you made. So for me, that's such an inspirational start. So let's start with that.
Yeah, so essentially I studied maths at university, wasn't doing very well. My mum and dad invested into a property portfolio and in a JV with a mortgage broker. The broker ended up buying all the properties in his own name. Things fell out and he went into bankruptcy, and my mum and dad ended up losing 650 grand worth of their savings, which was pretty much everything. And then I graduated, which was a bit of a surprise because I was hoping to be a trust fund baby. I had no aspirations of being an entrepreneur. I had no aspirations of being self-made or being an investor. I just kind of wanted handouts when I graduated. So it was a very hard start to graduating. But then a few very good souls in Asset Academy helped me out and sort of taught me exactly what went wrong with my mum and dad's sort of way of doing deals. Well, they didn't even do the deals. And B, how you can sort of grow in a different way in acquiring property. So in 2012, I bought my first, 23 odd houses on a credit card. Bit grey area, but all fully above board, fully legal. And refinance them out. Then I stopped using credit cards because it seemed to be quite reckless as a start. But it got me where I needed to get to, and they're all in the north of England. And then I just did more and more deals, and I had joint venture partners, I had angel investors. I was giving people either profit shares or fixed return on their capital, which is exactly the same thing you're doing as well, isn't it, Graham?
Yeah.
On your sort of journey. And I then became a mentor for the organization, and then a speaker, which is kind of sort of where I met Graham. And I've stopped sort of teaching because I'm focusing on acquiring businesses now, which is sort of our sort of core focus. We still do property deals, but not as many as we used to. But I genuinely just enjoy people, helping people. Like, I literally still get a buzz when people go, "Hey, I've just done my first deal." Like, for me to do a deal myself, it's kind of like a normal day. It's like when people go to work, I've just submitted a project. If it's your first one, that excitement level's so high.
Yeah.
If it's your 100th one, it's still business as usual, but it becomes a little bit less meaningful. So I do get a kick out of other people, buying their first deal, buying their first portfolio, building their first block of flats or whatever it is. It's I've started to get a little bit of a buzz from it. So sort of seeing you going through your two deals and knowing exactly you want to do it for your daughter, that just lights me up massively. Not the deals itself, it's more for what it's doing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that whole journey has been a really interesting one. And when you talk about the position that you started in to where you are now, we have to go through a variety of steps, don't we? And one of the steps is overcoming the nervousness, the worry, and I've done it myself in the world of property. In your own business, in your own sort of business world, you're very comfortable, and we get to that stage where we are comfortable. And we were talking before about, I've probably spent the last 30 years of done no marketing, no publicity, just through the work that I've done. And all of a sudden you go into a different industry like property where I am back to primary school.
Yeah.
And how do people literally get over that and actually take that step to overcome the fear that actually you can still do that, no matter how old you are, no matter what you've done in your own business world? If you want to do something different, you have to step out of that comfort zone, don't you?
Yeah, and I think it comes with a whole frame of naivety, because you know, and I've been through all these different personalities myself, where you approach things with a sense of arrogance to go, oh well, I don't need to know that. I don't need to know this. I'm not going to ask questions because I don't want to look stupid. And I have this thing where it's called playing the dumb card. So I had a call with a US lender last night, or maybe the night before. So we're trying to finance a steel business. It's in South Carolina. Does $21 million revenue on a $4.5 million profit. So we're trying to finance some of the assets, and they were saying all these terms that I had no idea about, and it's, I just sort of play the dumb card and say, hey, I don't know what the hell a right of offset is. What is that? And, oh, okay, and then they explain it, and they go, well, the right of offset is basically, if you sold someone an invoice, you've invoiced something to someone for like bolts and steel and all of that. If the business goes under, can the financer go after those assets, or can the person, the contractor who's taken that steel, can they say, well, you didn't do the job in full, so actually this invoice is kind of worthless? And it was a really great learning exercise for me to kind of go, oh, actually, I could sort of segment our construction companies that we own to go, well, hang on a second, we're going to invoice separately for materials, we're going to invoice separately for delivery, we're going to invoice separately for labor, blah, 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 blah. So there is no sort of right of offset. We call it retention in the UK world.
Yeah.
But the point is, I was on the call with like 8 different people, like all worth a couple of $100 million. I'm the poorest guy on the call, but I still play the dumb card. Hey, what the hell does this mean? Now, if this deal doesn't go through because they think I'm an idiot, fine. But the next time I speak to another bank and they talk about right of offset, I've already prepared all the answers for it. And that the sort of way sort of helps. Whereas a lot of people would kind of go, I don't know what that means. I'm just going to shut down and not even think about it because I don't want to look stupid. And having the courage to look stupid is probably been, for me, the biggest strength that I've got. And I didn't realize at the time because I'm generally quite a ditzy person. That's become my personality. So I don't really have a filter. And obviously, Graham, you've seen me teach for 3 days live. My choice of language is quite colorful because I forget I'm speaking to people who obviously want to see someone who's politically correct and stuff like that. Whereas, I just sort of share, this is exactly how I've done it. And I'm not saying you're going to do it the exact same way, but here's some ideas of some of the learnings I've had. Why don't you learn from it rather than learn from your own war stories, which I still think are the best way of learning from your own mistakes, but make the errors on stuff that you can't have learned in a classroom. And that's probably the reason why I always seek out coaches and mentors for myself. Whether I formalize an agreement with them or not, I still ask for advice. I speak to Jim Rogers, who's a billionaire in Singapore.
Yeah.
For love nor money, he will not do an agreement to coach me. But if I send him over a deal on email, if he responds, fantastic. If he doesn't have to, because I haven't got a formalized agreement with him. He wants me to source land in North Korea for him. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm just a UK guy. So I can't give him any value. But, once in a while, he sort of goes, no, that looks really stupid. You shouldn't do it this way. You should try it like this, or your deal's too small. That's usually when you're around the right people, when they go, you're thinking too small, way too small. So it's quite interesting when you sort of look at growth as a person, because I value growing more as a person than financial or anything else. Because the financial stuff, if you can, disconnect yourself from the payment system, and I was really connected to money in my mid-20s, and all the money I made, I'd just spend it, and it just would vanish. Honestly, Graham, like it makes me sad just thinking about it. To go, at that time, most people would think that's a life-changing amount of money, but I was clearing profits of about 50 to 100 grand a month. We do a lot more now, but my salary is only about 5 grand a month, and I can comfortably live off it. like really comfortably live off it. But before, I couldn't even retain 50 grand a month. I'd buy everyone a round of drinks, and not only just a round of drinks, it'd be champagne, it'd be this, it'd be that. Oh, yeah, we're going on a holiday. Let's just go rent a boat. And not any boat, the biggest boat they have. And it was all ego, ego, ego. And it was purely because I didn't feel worthy of what it was. And no matter how many warnings I got from my mom and dad to go, look, I know you've turned around our family's finances and all of these things, but you're behaving a bit like a dickhead. And so I distanced myself from them to go, oh, well, this is me. I want to live this lifestyle. But I lost all the meaning to life, which was like my family. And, coming back to teach after that sort of gave me a bit of groundedness, which I loved. And when I met you in Newcastle, Graham, and your other mate, Graham, as well, I just loved it because I love seeing the grassroots of where people are starting to kind of go, hang on a second, I need to get off my high horse now because there are people with real problems, and I still remember, that your reason why was Jessica, your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've taught probably about 400 or 500 students in the last 2 years. And we only teach maybe once a month, but we've taught a whole class of 400 or 500 students. We still remember every single person's reason for doing it. And that emotional connection makes it so much more meaningful to me.
Yeah, I agree. This whole concept of why, and in my business, I use that quite a lot in terms of either the G10 programs that I run or the coach business executive programs that I run, especially around culture and about getting the right culture. And it was really interesting there about one of the things you said about no dickheads. And I'm sure you've read Legacy, which is the New Zealand All Blacks book. Have you read that?
Yeah.
One of
the no dickhead policy. Yeah.
No dickheads. And the rugby team that I'd done some work with, they were in New Zealand on a tour. And they met one of the guys who'd come through the pathway of being a junior rugby player in New Zealand, really talented, a really high performance rugby player, managed to get one cap for New Zealand, and then that was it. So they met him because he was a coach over there. And one of the guys turned around and went, why did you only get one cap for New Zealand? You were a really talented junior. You were in all the age levels. Everybody thought you were going to be the next big thing. Why did you only get one cap? And he just went, because I'm a dickhead. I love the fact that if you're going to set a culture and you're going to use things like that, it has to be that. You can't just say, well, no dickheads apart from our really good player. He's allowed to play because he's really good. You have to get your culture right, don't you?
And the thing is as well, like in business as well, people go, you should do business with no emotions. I think that's absolute bollocks. We have emotions. We experience them. We experience fear, excitement, greed, loss, hatred, jealousy. We experience all of these spectrum of emotions. And if you create a culture where you're like, don't be emotional, you got to talk business and you got to talk logical and facts. Well, if you look at all of the best businesses in the world, it's all had an emotional drive behind it. And I think what your mindset, Graham, and I sort of told you just before the call, you have this way of lifting the energy of anyone that you speak to. And
I think that's gin, Ravi. If you have gin early in the morning, so this is, you got to start with a pint of gin every day. It helps. Just don't tell child services. I've got a 6-year-old child in the house.
I'll make sure I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, let's not send this out.
But that's the thing, though. Like you're raising the emotional level of the conversation. And I find like when you do business, we're doing a deal with a big PLC where we're buying their printing business and their sort of marketing business, which is massive for us, but tiny for them. So it's a massive headache for them. And we're carving those out. And the CFO of the company, and everyone's probably seen this brand. When you go to the airport, you have seen their brand, hands down. And the CFO of the company is proper unemotional. He just furloughed like 900 staff last week and all of that. And when we're sort of structuring the deal, they just want the highest price point and highest this, highest that. We can't do that. Banks aren't lending. And we're not going to commit that much capital to it. but we understand we're going to get that headache off your hands. And, the first thing now that every time I pick up the call, whether it's to a private equity firm, another exec, someone who wants to sell their business, someone needs to, or a funder or a lender or whoever, the first thing I was like, how's lockdown? Have you got kids? Have you got kids running around? And all of a sudden, the call just gets really personal.
Yeah.
And the CFO of the PLC, I was just about to say the name there, the CFO of the PLC, I said, oh, it must be really hard doing the furlough for 900 people. And he goes, no, it's just a process. And I was like, well, surely it must have crossed your mind how many families you're impacting. And he's like, yeah, but I have to shut that side out because, when you're running such a big company, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what was the hardest furlough that you did? And he said, oh, there was one 2 weeks ago where one of the directors called up and said, look, I can't furlough this guy. His wife and his daughter have a chronic illness and the funding from the government stopped and his salary is going to pay for it. And obviously his argument was, well, you should be getting 80% of your pay, blah, 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 blah. But because the budget from the government's gone down, it's actually like 3-4 times his salary. And he's like, so by losing his job, the guy's going to have to make a decision. Do I keep my wife alive? Do I keep my child alive? And the wife and the child have the same disease and all this stuff. And because of coronavirus as well right now,
yeah, absolutely,
means they can't even be together. And it really affected him, the CFO. And me and him managed to create a bond over it. And now, because of that, the deal's now going through because we've developed a bond just over 15 minutes just to go, there's a human connection, then we can talk business. Because if you can't connect with someone on a human element, the business falls apart.
Well, we always talk about the fact that you don't buy necessarily the products because the products are the same all the way around the world. A pen's going to be a pen. You're going to buy from the individual. You're going to buy from the person. So we do have this human connection. And one of the things which I think we're all missing, and we talked about this before as well, Ravi, is that we're missing this human contact. And we're, because of Jess, we are in the house till the end of June minimum. So missing just the human touch and the human contact and buying somebody a beer or buying somebody a bottle of champagne, we can't do that. And that's going to be a change going forward, I think. And I was talking to Chris Stafford, who's the Anantara chief exec, who I mentioned before. And he was saying the world of hotels internationally are going to be different places from now on once we get out of COVID-19. There's going to be no buffets. There's going to be a change in, the whole hospitality world in terms of how we keep the hotels cleanliness and, and all of that is something that I think will be a really good positive going forwards because I think we've taken a lot of stuff for granted. And I delivered a seminar on Wednesday for Durham University, and we went simple Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we've been top of that pyramid for a while, and now all of a sudden we're kind of like, I just need to be safe. And I need to have some food. So I think that's a really good thing for humanity. And sharing your information and knowledge is a really good thing for everybody as well, I think. With that, Ravi, you talked about a little bit in terms of people being in fear and being in comfort zones a little bit. Any tips for people at this moment in time in terms of, I'm sure we're all going through reflections. I'm sure we're all kind of thinking, right, how do I get better when I get out? Or actually, maybe we're thinking, wow, what have I done for 10 years? I need to make some changes. So any top tips to give people to get over that ego, as you said, to not be a dickhead, as you said, and to have a go at maybe challenging themselves to be a little bit better?
Yeah, and I think it's to clearly sort of define your goals. I mean, I've not had this. I mean, this lockdown for me personally, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone else, has been such a beautiful part of my life. I feel like I can literally concentrate on my relationship with my partner rather than just having quick catch-ups, go to bed, bang, straight out, business, blah, blah, blah. I'm still on the phone pretty much 24/7. I've got video calls again and again and again and again. But we have a cutoff, and then, literally, 6 p.m. onwards, we go, right, what film are we going to watch? Let's make dinner. I haven't cooked a meal for like years. And little simple things like that, that everyone's going to start getting these realizations, it's going to impact a lot of sectors. My favorite restaurant I live in Surrey, down the road, probably isn't going to get much business from me after lockdown, because now I've learned how to feed myself and all of these things. But it's made me very compassionate. And I think people that are right now there's like this huge wave of compassion now for people to kind of go, man, it could have been worse. Like, I could have had, like my grandparents are in isolation and I can just video call them, but I'm video calling them more than I used to visit them. Maybe I should call them a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, and
Probably going to watch this.
How many people do you know pre-COVID-19 turn around and went, oh my God, I wish I could spend more time with the wife. I wish I could write that book. I wish I could just relax a little bit more. Now we have that perfect opportunity to do that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like even the big titans in business, everyone's caught with their pants down. So it's like, it's an equalizer. And I really think that the wealthy are going to get less wealthy and the poorer are going to get wealthier. And it sounds really weird because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an investor, and, wealth is a part of the code of, how do we keep growing the net worth every year, blah, 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 blah. And, in the last 12 months, our business acquisition company's grown by £43 million in revenue. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Just in 12 months, we went from, zero, like a little startup, from not understanding what we were doing, all the way up to this, and creating all of that value. But to be fair, wealth shouldn't be in so few hands, is my opinion, because, when you play at those high levels, you get all these tax advantages. You can afford to pay for these high level advisors on how do we make the flow of cash more efficient. And I feel like the poorer people haven't been, I say poorer people, it's a very derogatory term. They probably have more quality of life than some of the wealthier people that I've met. But the people that are sort of get paid less and have very noble professions are now going to start rising to the top. And look at the NHS staff. They have been shat on since inception. And now they are our society's heroes. And I absolutely love it. It's just, caring for others has been glorified. They are turning into like these superheroes. And, I know it sounds really airy-fairy, but love is obviously what going to set the whole world in emotion together. And, I think like when people sort of have a business idea that you want to pursue or whatever it is, don't go into your head. Just pick up the phone, find someone who's done it. You can connect with anyone on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can connect with me if you've got an issue. Just connect with someone and go, hey, I've got this idea. Can I have 15 minutes? If they're going to charge you for it, then they might not be the right person because they're clearly living off those phone calls and stuff like that. But I spoke to the founder of Green and Blacks, the organic chocolate.
Yeah.
So Craig, and we just randomly connected, and we had a phone call. I was like, hey, I've been a fan of yours. Like, you are the ethical entrepreneur that wants to save the planet and make loads of money. And he's got this really cool carbon business where, and I'm looking to invest in it. So this is my sort of disclaimer. I may have a interest.
Let me invest in this one. What is it? The middle class are going to make more money. I'm going to invest in it. I'm in.
But it's this amazing charcoal technology that he's got, and you put it into soil, and it sort of fertilizes and mineralizes it for like 1,000 years. And Trump has just sort of given the go-ahead for all farmers to get tax breaks if they use this certain charcoal-based soil. But the issue is with the business model is once the farmer's got it, he doesn't need to buy anymore.
Okay.
Because it's good for 1,000 years. The product is that good. It's good for 1,000 years. So I was like, so what? You need to cover. So I said to Craig, I was like, so you need to cover the whole planet with this, and then your business is dead. He's like, yeah, but it's good for the environment. So there's a cap to the business. There's a scalability paradox to it. But he's doing something so wonderful for society, and he's getting paid for it. And he sold Green and Blacks to Cadbury's for like, I think 25 million is what it's publicly sort of set up. But obviously deals, what gets reported and what actually gets done are two different.
Yeah.
But he gave me, 2.5 hours of his time because I want our group to have more of a social and eco-conscious. And I was like, look, we own scaffolding companies, we own construction companies, we own a gym in Westfield, we own this, we own all these different companies. How do I have that eco warrior mentality? Can you consult me? And he gave me all of his gold nuggets, like, start with the body. How are you improving the body? Okay, well, then start with, and the body's improved by food. Okay, how do you improve the quality of food? How do you improve the quality of air? Blah, blah, blah. And how can you commercialize on every single angle? So we're looking at sort of like metals recycling at the moment, plastics recycling. I want to invest into these technologies. And if it goes nowhere, who cares? We did it trying to save the planet and the people within it. And I think people, when they have that sort of passion, the fear just goes. There is no fear because you kind of go, well, it's a purpose bigger than me and I'm not going to stand around waiting for it to happen. But when people start thinking about themselves selfishly to kind of go, hey, look, I want to write a book so I can make 500 grand. You're not going to write the book because your driver is yourself. Your tiredness will always take over. Your hunger for food or whatever, all the distractions will kick in. But if it's a purpose bigger than yourself, none of that stuff gets in the way. So I think if people do have a fear, figure out, well, are you, and it's a very cruel question, are you being selfish? Because let's face it, Graham, you went out and got a bridging loan on a property deal because you're not going to let anyone stand in your way. Why?
Because of Jess. That's my why. And that's my passion.
I think it's lagged. Hello? What did you last hear?
I didn't let it get in my way because of my why. And my why is Jess. And that's the reason why I did it. And that's my passion. And that allows you to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, and like, let's say the vendor's saying no, or someone in your family or your friends are going, oh, should you really be doing that? The forefront of your brain is, well, I've got to do this for Jess, so I don't really care about your opinion. I've got to get this done, and I've got to get it done quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sort of beautiful thing about doing. I'll always do more for others than I ever will for myself. I don't take care of my health as much as I should, and obviously, maybe you could probably kick my head in to make sure I do that. But I'll always make sure if I'm cooking for someone else, it'll be perfect. If I cook for myself, I'll just eat out the Tupperware and yeah, cool, I'm done. And that's an example. I mean, whoever's watching this, you guys can sort of think about, what do you do for yourself to the standard of what you do for others in your family or whatever it is. And you got to think of your business like that. Like, what can you do for others? The gym is called First Light Cycle. It's in Westfield that we acquired. The numbers were so upside down.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the previous owner won't mind me saying this. Who's a very good friend of mine now. It was losing about 120 grand a month, and it was making 10.
Okay.
So no one else is going to buy that business. It's in Westfield. The rent's 27 grand a month for a 9,000 square foot facility. But I knew that as I got speaking to Mark, the founder of it, he PG'd his whole house on this dream, personally guaranteed the whole thing. It was about £4 million worth of debt. And he was going to lose his home. He was going to lose everything if this gym couldn't survive. So everyone sort of wrote him off. Look, you're way too upside down. I came in and I was like, look, I love this guy. I don't like the gym. I fucking hate going to the gym. I mean, it's pretty obvious looking at my physique. I didn't understand the spin concept and all of that. I didn't care about anything about the business itself. I cared about him. Yeah. I met his children as well. And I was like, right, I'm going to make sure you guys do not lose your house under my protection. And we started that process in September last year. And by November, boom, everything's restructured. I had all the tough calls with the banks, the bailiffs, the insurance companies, the liquidators, everyone. I was like, any scary letter you get, you just give it to me and I'll sort it out. And we managed to eradicate probably about £3 million worth of debt through clever structuring, litigation, negotiations and stuff. So it's a skill set we picked up and we're using it to help other businesses that have got cash flow difficulties, they're about to go under and all of that stuff. And we're not going to make a ton of money out of it. You know, I might end up losing about 100 grand of my own personal money. That's about it. But I get a nice swanky gym. now I'll definitely use it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you also get a lot of humanity points as well, Ravi.
Well, this is the thing. He's bringing me all of these other people now to go, hey, this gym's struggling, this gym's struggling. And obviously in COVID-19, are people going to gyms at the moment?
Yeah.
So he's brought me about 40, 50 different projects just in gyms now to go, hey, can we help all of these people? I'm like, listen, bruv, this exercise is very expensive for me in my time and capital. But I can now use those learnings to repurpose some of those things to help the other guys. And we've got another director on board who was my best mate from banking. And but the point is that when people ask me, oh, wow, you've got this amazing facility. I do meetings there sometimes because he forces me to work out every time we go for a meeting. So I meet other people in different industries at the gym in Westfield because it's a central location. And they asked, wow, this is such an amazing facility. I was like, I didn't really care about the gym. I cared about the people. I cared about Mark and his 2 kids and his wife and making sure they don't lose their homes. And that's our mission. And if you can start making things more outside of your personal gains, I genuinely think there is no fear. I don't understand fear. I've got fear of salads.
It's funny, I've got a really fixed mindset when it comes to cucumber, unless you put it in Hendrix. And then I'm quite happy having that all the time.
Yeah, cucumbers don't belong in salads. They belong in Hendrix.
Ravi, listen, I think that's probably about time for me to wrap you up.
Perfect.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I think what we'll do is just for everybody who's out there, who's maybe sitting, thinking about challenging themselves, making a move, I'll pull together a little PDF and I'll have a chat with you about maybe having a look at how people can go through understanding what their core values are, having a look at defining their own individual why, so they can start to just kind of have a bit of a forward thought process on where they want to go post-COVID-19 over the next 5 to 10 years. And if that can help somebody else, then that's a great thing I think we can do. So I'll post that. If you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, check the Facebook page out. We'll log that for you guys. I'll make sure that all of Ravi's details are on there as well, at least the ones that you want everybody to have.
That's fine. Get in touch.
Gym, maybe that gym, somebody might want to join that gym now too.
Yeah, we can do an introduction to whatever. I mean, if you want some free credits in the gym, just message me. The general manager might tell me off, but yeah, you can go in and try something. I mean, I think it's £18 a class, but if you want some free credits, let me know.
Wow, lovely. We'll do that. And I just want to say thanks for doing this. It's going to be a fun month. We've got some great business people. We've got a couple of Olympic athletes, a couple of professional football players, including one Premiership football player. And his story is quite a good one as well. And then we're going to finish off with some world-class coaches at the end of the month. So I think there will certainly be something for everybody to take something away and be a better person post-COVID-19.
Perfect. Thanks, Graham. I appreciate your time.
You take care. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. Bye.